Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Steelers 2024 Training Camp, 4th Public Practice Live Blog and Highlights. The Pittsburgh Steelers will be back at St. Vincent College in Latrobe on Sunday for their 4th training camp practice of the 2024 season that's open to the public, and our very own Alex Kozora and Tim Rice will be in attendance for it. Throughout the day, I will live blog Alex's tweets along with all of the other great tweets and social media posts from other sources that are posted in a live embed feed. Just a reminder that you might want to refresh this page every 15 minutes and look for Alex's full recap of Sunday's practice later in the afternoon. We'll follow that up later this evening with the 4th of many special editions of the Terrible Podcast. Steelers rookie is turning heads at training camp. Much like many prominent teams in the NFL that had a franchise quarterback leading their franchise for a long time, the Pittsburgh Steelers have struggled to find a star at the quarterback position since the retirement of Ben Roethlisberger. Even though the Steelers haven't been able to find a new franchise quarterback in the post-Roethlisberger era, with the team recently trading Kenny Pickett to the Philadelphia Eagles, Pittsburgh has remained a competitive team and always seems to find a way to make the NFL playoffs despite playing in arguably the toughest division, AFC North, in the league. Fortunately for Pittsburgh, the team's brass was determined to make a splash this offseason, and they did in a big way by signing one-time Super Bowl champion Russell Wilson and trading for Justin Fields. Now, the quarterback depth chart in Pittsburgh is looking pretty good, even though Wilson is already dealing with a calf issue. With an emphasis on being better offensively during the 2024 NFL season, the team selected offensive lineman Troy Fautanu in the first round of the NFL draft and then brought in a talented wide receiver, Roman Wilson, in the 3rd round, who is already making an impression in training camp. Wilson or potentially Fields, whoever wins the quarterback battle in Pittsburgh, will have no shortage of targets in the passing game, with Wilson being among a talented group of wideouts that includes George Pickens and Van Jefferson. Only time will tell how things come together for the Steelers, but they could be a team that has turned it around offensively in 2024. The Cold Wire Ryan Ward is a veteran sports writer who has covered the NBA and NFL for over a decade, along with numerous exclusive interviews. The Pittsburgh Steelers, and Mike Tomlin in particular, have plenty of experience dealing with big ego players. They've had their fair share of troublemakers in the locker room, and they might have another one on their hands. George Pickens drew plenty of negative attention last season. His tantrums on the field and antics on social media showed that he wasn't mentally and emotionally mature enough, and it seems like that hasn't changed since the end of the season. As shown by Andrew Erickson on Twitter, it only took him a couple of practice sessions to get into a heated altercation with his new receivers coach, Zach Azzanni. Apparently, Azzanni didn't like the way he dealt with one of his assignments, and Pickens didn't care for the way he addressed him. The report adds that it's still unclear what was said or why Pickens was angry, but things weren't pretty. That's not a good look for a star, let alone for a guy who's only been in the league for 2 years. Granted, Pickens has a superstar upside and should be poised for a big role in the offense next season, but we've already seen this kind of player get kicked out of the league because no one is willing to deal with his antics. Pickens needs to earn his stripes, and the only way to do so is by balling out and not talking so much. They definitely don't want to go through an Antonio Brown kind of situation all over again. Proposed Cowboys trade sees CeeDee Lamb unloaded for record-setting QB. If push comes to shove, the Dallas Cowboys could benefit from CeeDee Lamb's holdout by trading him. While there's been no indication that the Cowboys plan on trading Lamb, in fact, Dallas has submitted a new offer to Lamb. According to NFL Network's Jane Slater, a trade could become a possible option if the two sides can't agree to a new deal. In a proposed trade scenario from FanDuel, Dallas would unload Lamb to the Pittsburgh Steelers in exchange for 2 first-round draft picks, 2025 and 2026, and Justin Fields. The proposed trade is obviously a blockbuster scenario. The 2 first-round picks is huge draft capital, but the idea of acquiring Fields, who has taken first-team reps with the Steelers' offense in training camp with Russell Wilson dinged up, as a potential replacement for Dak Prescott is what really makes this proposed trade noteworthy. Although the 25-year-old Fields is far from a polished product as a passer, his talent is undeniable. Fields holds the NFL record for most rushing yards by a quarterback in a single game, 178, and also ran for 1,143 yards during the 2022 season, the second most in NFL history. Furthermore, he did show slight improvement as a passer during his third season starting for the Chicago Bears compared to the 2022 season. Fields threw 16 touchdowns with just 9 interceptions, a career low and a dip from the 11 interceptions he threw during the 2022 season while throwing the ball 52 more times, with a career-high 61.4% completion rate, 86.3 passer rating and a 5-8 record. The most important reason for acquiring Fields is having an insurance policy due to Prescott's current contract situation. The veteran quarterback is entering the final year of his own deal and is looking for a long-term contract extension. However, both sides have yet to come to an agreement early on in training camp. Prescott has already left the door open on potentially leaving the Cowboys if the two sides can't come to an agreement. "I'm gonna say it," Prescott told reporters on Thursday, July 25. "I want to be here, but when you look up, all the great QBs I watched played for other teams. That's not something to fear. It may be a reality for me one day. It may not be my decision." While the Cowboys currently feature former first-round pick Trey Lance on its roster, his experience is extremely limited. He has started just 4 games in his career, and he didn't take a single snap last season. By comparison, Fields has started 38 games in his career and had been a full-time starter over the past 3 seasons prior to his acquisition by the Steelers. As mentioned before, the Cowboys have submitted an offer to Lamb early on in training camp, via NFL Network's Jane Slater. Cowboys EVP Stephen Jones tells me they sent CeeDee Lamb a new offer yesterday, writes Slater. "He tells me good convos right now with Lamb and his agent as they continue to try and come to an agreement on an extension." The idea of the Steelers unloading 2 first-round picks and a potential future starter of their own in Fields for Lamb is probably unlikely. However, if the Cowboys and Lamb are unable to come to an agreement, scouring the market for draft capital and a potential replacement for Prescott is something that they should consider. And you, fan? What do you think of the situation of Justin Fields? Leave your opinion in the comments.